Good. Good evening, everyone. All right, to start my talk, I'd like to share a story that happened to me. So when I start my self-defense journey, my self-defense training, I started with the Russian former special forces. It sounds bad. It's hard, yeah. So one of the first things that we deal, it's a management fear drill. So let me explain you how it happened. I arrived to this very big gymnasium, very cold, very unpleasant smell of sweat and socks. I'm not sure, but I still remember the smell. And I met this head instructor who came and welcomed me, shook my hands, and he put me to the center of the gymnasium. On the floor, you had like three former military guys sitting. They were chatting, not paying attention so much to me. And the guy started talking to me. Told me, okay, so today, your first day of training. You're just gonna stand here. We're gonna surround you, and we're gonna start hitting you. I was like, what? You guys gonna come around me and start hitting me? He said, no. Okay, so exactly, this is how I felt. Okay, and then the guy said, okay, are you ready? I said, okay. I saw this guy standing, so they came one to the left, right, and behind me. And the instructor was saying me, the only thing you have to do, basically, it's breathing. Dishe. I remember this word in Russian, which means breathe. He was saying, dishe, dishe. And then he will start giving me the menu of what they're going to do to me. Tell me, sometimes we hit punch, sometimes we kick, sometimes face, sometimes stomachs. I mean, he will just start feeding my fear and my imagination. I would start feeling that something was happening when nothing was really happening. He told me, are you ready? I said, okay, I'm not ready, but I'm here. I travel all this time, so now I have to face it. So he put his hand in his pocket, then he took a potato bag, and he came next to me, and he started putting the potato bag on my head. And he told me, to make it easy for you, you not look. So this is how my training started. I was here in a country that I don't know very well, language I don't speak much, being surrounded by people that I don't know, and they have the objective to hit me. And I was just not allowed to do anything except breathing. This was one of the most traumatic experiences in my life. As soon as the bag touched my shoulders, body reaction immediately, I started to shrink in. I started to stop breathing. I was wondering what's gonna come next. I had maybe a thousand questions. Are they serious about it? Are they going to hurt me? Are they gonna get injured? What I'm doing here? I'm good in Dubai. It's warm. I came all the way here just to get beaten. I didn't expect that at all. I thought we were doing like classic self-defense stuff. All right, and then I was like, okay, you're here. Just try to make the best out of it. Okay, just breathe, 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 breathe. This is literally my reaction. I cannot control my reaction. My body starts shaking, I start sweating, I start having a very short breath, Any movement around me was provoking a defensive reaction from my body. I was like jumping away, like try to control it. It actually escalated very, very fast because I didn't expect 4 minutes before. I was just very happy coming to do the training. Now I'm here in this situation. So I was waiting. I started to control my breath. I can feel my heartbeat going up and up and up. I started to feel dizzy. It was very weird. I started to feel like I actually want to throw up. It was like so fast. And still nothing happened. I was waiting. Had the worst imagination. And something very weird happened. I started feeling the pain. The pain, physical pain. Every movement that I can feel around me, it was like a hit in the face. I started being very jumpy. But this is going on for like 3-5 minutes until he came and removed the bag. No one touched me. But I was hurt. I was petrified. I can actually feel tears running through my cheek. I was sweating from everywhere. I was shaking. And he told me, okay, over today, tomorrow we start again. And then I left. Whew. So I don't know if you can imagine. I face in maybe less than 3 or 4 minutes all type of fear. Fear of being in the darkness, which is a common fear for all of us. Fear of being hit, so physical contact. Fear of falling. Fear of injury. Fear of, am I doing the right choice to be here? All this was so concentrated. I was shocked. I went back to my room, I sat, and I was like, just trying to digest the emotional shock that I experienced. This day changed my life. When I went back to Dubai, I knew that this was the beginning of something new, because from this day I was just trying to find methods, find ways to digest, domesticate, and accept the fear that we're always surrounded by it. So, fear. It's a very complicated topic. I'll try to make it simple. And I'll try to give you 2 ideas that can help you dealing with fear. Not necessarily when you fight. Hope no one will put a potato bag on your head and hit you up. But if this happens, at least you know how to react. But just on an everyday basis. Even sometimes when you speak, it can be very tense and you want to just deal with the stress. So fear is basically defined as a negative emotion that can come from immediate danger or from the perspective of a threat. Either if the threat is real or imaginary. And this is very interesting. That just means that we don't need to be in a real situation to get scared. So fear doesn't need to be real for us to get scared. This is the first thing I've learned. So imagination can be much more devastated than what actually was happening. So, and then I was thinking, okay, why do I have this feeling about fear? It's fear negative because it's actually limiting us. Then you figure out that step by step, the fear acts like a mother, I would say, with the child. It's here to protect us by limiting us in some danger that can cause damage to us. So from this day, I start to accept my fears and try to deal with them. And I think everyone here, we all have like different type of fear. It cannot be not physical, but financial fear at the end of the month. For example, at the end of the year, we can have like fear to get sick and not to be well. So fear, it's present in our daily life. So I don't think fear it's an enemy to us. If fear is not the enemy, so what is the enemy? Why do we put our body into these states of panic? This is the real enemy. Panic is what we want to avoid. This is what we want to fight against it. There's nothing good who came out of the panic. Panic is defined as the ultimate stage of fear sensations. It's when your fear takes over your decision instead of your clear thinking, instead of your cognitive brain. So you don't react logically according to what's happening. You start reacting with maybe no senses running everywhere. We can consider that panic makes you jump into flame if your house is on fire instead of going away. So this is the main thing. The other point, panic can actually hurt the body. By preparing this talk, I figured out the amount of damage that fear, actually panic, so the ultimate state of fear, can create to the body and to the mind. It's really, really concerning. So it can go from anything from disbalancing the endocrine system, so the hormone, it changes the level of insulin, the level of adrenaline, of melatonin, of serotonin. It can create cramps, back pain, anything that has to do with stress. You can somatize any of this like panic. So every panic episode will create a very high level of stress. So the body, it's, I would say, impacted, but compared to the mind is really, really impacted with a devastating level. There's a lot of mental health disease or condition that come strictly from fear. It can go from depression to anxiety. So it's really something that we want to stay away. Bon. The good news is that there is a way to manage it before it gets to the point of panic. So this is one of the most interesting ideas I would like you to keep in mind, guys. Fear is okay, something that you have to deal with it. But panic is something you really want to avoid by all means. So this is the 2 ideas that I want to develop with you guys, the 2 methods that I believe works very well. I wish I can share with you all methods. There is many different ways, but this is 2 main ones. And the common point with these 2 methods is exactly the same in terms of self-defense, systema. So when you get aggressed in the street or when you're into a combat, compared to yoga. So yoga and systema or self-defense, they're sharing this common method to deal with all the stress level and fear. So the first one, of course, it's the breathing. The second one is the present moment. So I want to start with the breathing. So breathing is something that we heard every day. You should breathe better. Breathing is good. It's actually very true. Breathing, it's one of the most, I'm not afraid to say, the most important biomechanical function. It's with us every time, you know. We don't need to pay attention to breath, but still at every second we inhale, we exhale, we inhale, we exhale. We believe we breathe good and naturally, but there is always a way to improve your breath. It's called pranayama for the yogis in the room. So basically, it's an automatic function, but if we bring our mind, so if we become mindful about the breathing, we can control the speed of the breath, the depth of the breath, we can play with it, we can hold the breath. We know that we can hold when we're full, but we can also hold when we're empty, and this is very important. I'll tell you a little later why. So basically, it's a very important tool. It's free. I don't think there is much things free. I mean, for now, we can breathe outside oxygen. And it's available at all time. So you don't need to have anything with you. You just breathe to stay alive. So you breathe to stay healthy. If you stop breathing or if you reduce your breathing capacity, it will cause immediate problem. Basically, if you stop breathing, you die. So if you breathe better, you definitely live better. So this is what I want you guys to keep in mind. The body needs oxygen to have a normal function. We saw with COVID, one of the first tests that we're doing was the saturation of the oxygen level in the blood, because it needs to be as high as 98 or 99. If the body doesn't have the right amount of oxygen, nothing will function. And one of the main things will be the brain. The brain will start getting damaged, so you need to make sure that you always bring some oxygen supply to your brain. The second thing with the breathing is like it takes away your attention from fear, for example. If you just focus on something simple, inhale, I exhale, it will just make you focusing on something rather than the panic state or any fear. So it might sound simple, but trust me, I've been to some very highly stressful situation, and breath was the only thing who will keep me moving. Remember, I'm coming from Fontainebleau, when it's a small city in France. When I was driving by night, how many times you saw those rabbits jumping, you know, crossing the road? And when they saw the car's light, instead of running away, they are literally petrified and just waiting to be eventually hit. So we have to run around them. So this is what panic is making to you. Nothing really good came from panic. So breathing will be the first gate for that. The second thing, it's something fundamental into yoga. It's called the present moment. Yoga means unity in Sanskrit, unity of the soul, the mind, and the body. The body has no choice, basically. The body is at the present moment. As we're talking now, if I say present moment, by the time I'm saying moment, it's already behind us. You know, don't need to turn around. It's a figure of speech. That means the word moment is already in the past. So the flow of the present moment, it's keep on moving forward. The body has to follow that. The mind is very powerful. The mind can choose to travel the time, either going to the past or to the future. If the mind gets stuck in the past, you're going to start focusing on memories, something that happened already that you cannot change anyway. It's done. It's not going to change. So this memory can be unpleasant and can start raising your level of stress. Some of the memory can be kind of dramatic. So this will provoke sadness into your mind. And ultimately, a state of sadness for a long time can lead to depression. So if your mind be in the future, you're going to start anticipating on event that didn't happen yet. So you don't know what's going to be the outcome, basically. It's only your fantasies, your imagination, your guessing. Maybe you have probabilistic, but still, it didn't happen yet, so you're not sure about it. So anytime you anticipate too much on any event, it can be on the daily life, it can be on a fight, it can be through yoga, through anything, your mind will start figuring out a possible outcome. This outcome will raise uncertainty, and this uncertainty will definitely lead to fear. And ultimately, a long period of fear will put your body and your mind into anxiety. This is something also we would like to avoid. So according to yoga, the only place, what we call the peace of mind, when you can find peace, is the present moment, when you can find serenity. So every time your mind is fluctuating, you have to bring it back. It's easy to say, it's harder to do, but it's a mindset. When you condition yourself to, okay, whatever gonna happen will happen anyway. So instead of imagining different scenarios, I'm just gonna be here with my body and with my breath. So if you have one thing to remember from this talk, guys, something I tell to all my students, whatever happened to you in life, you just have to be at the present moment, keeping your mind mindfully inside your body. Every inhale is a blessing. Every inhale is a gift because we are alive, because we are together, because we are healthy. Every exhale is a healing because alongside with the air, we can choose to let go stress, tension, pressure, fear, sadness, anger, whatever the body doesn't need anymore. So if you're exposed to a high intensity of stress, forget everything, just think about yourself, take a deep inhale and take a deep exhale. And you will see, you're gonna first bring more oxygen to your brain, you will be able to see the situation the way it is, not the way you think it could be. Remember my example, no one touched me. And next day, to be honest, I felt the physical pain. I was hitting my body from inside, even if nothing happened. Because my imagination was so strong, I was so sure that something will happen to me, that it's actually, I make it happen. So I manifested it. So just make sure, keep these two advice, the two ideas, be at your present moment and make sure that you breathe. Every breath counts. Breath at the breath. Thank you guys for listening.